Welcome back to ROLES and IGSDA joint seminar series on drones and cannons, changing balance of power in and around the Middle East. This is part 2 of the series entitled Eastern Question Redux, Turkey's position between NATO and Russia. I'm Satoshi Ikeuchi again. I'm professor of religion and global security at the University of Tokyo and chair of the ROLES RCAST Open Laboratory for Emergence Strategies. The speaker of the part 2 is again Dr. and General Said Ghoneim, senior strategist and chairman of the Institute of Global Security and Defense Affairs. Dr. Ghoneim, thank you again. Welcome again to our podium. So recently, we've been talking about this webinar for a long time, but recently there's a rise of tension around Ukraine, and there's also, it seems, rise of importance or attention to Turkey as a most adjacent regional power and most, effective in negotiating with Mr. Putin and Russia. So, Dr. Ghoneim, you're in the UAE, and in the UAE and your original country, Egypt, there is also rearrangement around, Turkey. So Turkey has been, in a way, outcast right after the Arab Spring 10 years ago, but little by little, its position in the region is it has reclaimed again, and in the influx of situation in the neighboring Black Sea and Ukraine-Russia relations, or in the broader NATO Eurasian relationship, Turkey's position is changing. So how do you see from the region, within the region, in the Middle East, and particularly in the Gulf region, which has been very complicated, in a very complicated relationship with Turkey for a long time. So we want to see the most recent development surrounding Turkey in the region. So Dr. Ghoneim, please, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you so much again. Second part about Ukraine. I will share the screen as we agreed. And
yes.
Okay.
Okay, it's clear, clean and clear. Thank you very much.
Just to make it full screen. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's right.
So Ukraine and the current. I will not talk about historical, about the current reasons, about whatever the crisis itself. You know more than me. You read a lot about that. But I would like to concentrate on Turkey. I have to say something. Really, I respect your selections, honestly. And I was even saying that to all my communities, which I'm discussing with. When you use Turkey, yes, I believe Turkey is the most important key country, not only in the Black Sea, but in the region. Not because it's good or bad, this is not the issue, but really, there are some roles imposed on Turkey they have to play. And it's not today, but for a long time ago, let me say the nearest one, when it joined, NATO very early, even before European countries, which is not European, it's only Istanbul, as you know, you visit Turkey a lot, right? So I will try to answer this question. What are the reasons of the Russian escalations against Turkey? This is the only thing I would like to talk about. from my point of view, very organic to me. Second, how would be the relations between Turkey and others, like Turkey, US, NATO, Turkey, Russia, Turkey with Iran and Israel, the two counterparts, regional powers in front of it. Turkey with a very Arab and strong power, which is KSA, and Turkey with UAE, in addition to Qatar and Egypt. How can I see all of that? This is, I will try to conclude. And in my conclusion, I will say something. I hope it's not provocative to anybody, because I'm not telling my personal opinion on everything, but sometimes how people at least see the issue. Okay. When I talk about the reasons, I believe we have to think about two dimensions to understand together what is the reason. Because reason, usually when I think about reason of anything, it's not only why, not only the place, but there is a third dimension which is always important. Why now? Why now? I believe what? When we see that what happened, I mean internationally, right? What happened in Taiwan in October, it has been described as was the biggest one, right, from the Chinese side. More than 150 aircrafts hovering above Taiwan. It's not only supremacy, but it's considered like harassment. China say it's a part of my country, Taiwan say it's aggressive against us, and so. And people even start to talk about war against Taiwan and what USA will do, and so on. After only 2 months, we find initiated by Russia, right, the Ukraine issue. So I believe it's synchronized, it's coordinated to why? Okay. We know that we have power and influence. China is very powerful. USA is the most powerful. Russia is very influential. USA is very influential. So common between Russia and USA influence, common between China and USA power, right? And that's why a third dimension must appear, which is, let me call it populism, the public opinion of the countries. When I can convince the public opinion of the world, of the people of the world, that USA is withdrawing from the region, USA is shrinking, okay? A big difference between USA shrinking and China is growing. Sometimes when I see you growing, when you carry radio, so I believe, you believe that I'm shrinking. No, you are growing, I'm not shrinking. But I have to show you that the other is shrinking. So, and why does he do that? Just to try to put USA and Europe, which for the first time and a long time, they became more together in one corner now, that they are shrinking, they are not powerful, they are not, what is the most important, not trustful. So let's exploit now this bad reputation, exploit this understanding of several analysts, several decision makers, and put pressure on the United States. This is a good time. And maybe we can have uncommon interest and common interest. Uncommon interest, it's known. Russia, what they need exactly, why they want Ukraine. Everybody knows, no need to talk about that. And China, it's known what they want exactly in South China Sea, right? I believe that China will never fight the US military force unless 4 cases, 4 red lines. So one of them for sure, 100% Taiwan, right? For a specific phase only. So is it because coordination between the two countries to be now? Is it because of try and attempt to exploit the current international understanding and environment to be against the dictatorship of USA, not democratic USA, something like that, right? So maybe it's one of the reasons. It's why now, and to prove what is the most important, to prove the propaganda I made by media, I made by all tools which I'm trying to do, I mean Russia and China, that really USA is indecisive. Sees a split in NATO right now, sees a split in USA decision makers inside the country. See how Germany was in, see how Czech Republic, see how Croatia, you know, I hope you understand what I mean with the presence of these countries or internal split inside them concerning Russia and so. So Putin is a very wonderful player. Xi Jinping is a very wonderful player. And I mentioned Putin first because of Ukraine. So they know what they do very well. And we have to understand something. Big difference between alliance and partnership. You know that, even in military. Alliance, I'm responsible. Partnership, I'm cooperating. I'm alliance with Satoshi that have my promise, مسافة السكة, to help you anytime. It's must, obligatory against me. Partnership is case by case, right? And that is the weak point of the Russian-Chinese relation if I compare with NATO-US relation. This is alliance, right? Okay, if the other regional dimension, which is Turkey itself, I believe Turkey is the most important country in the Black Sea, not Russia, not Ukraine, not Georgia, not Romania, no. Why? Because of Dardanelles and Bosporus. If you agree with me that the main goal of Russia, one of the main goals is to reach 3 seas always, to have, not only to reach, to have the supremacy. With number 1, Baltic Sea, forget about it right now. Number 2, Mediterranean Sea. Number 3, Indian Ocean and Red Sea. Indian Ocean, Red Sea, something between China and Russia, and they are coordinating somehow. They have disagreed together somehow, but anyway, everything going to be fixed. Mediterranean Sea, they are inside the home, right? And why? Why? Because to have a foot on the ground militarily with my forces inside your home countries, which is the NATO expansion, 6th Fleet is there. I'm in front of you. So what about if I'm even Hormuz or around 5th Fleet as well? Why I mentioned 6th Fleet and 5th Fleet? Did you remember when I talked about offshore balancing strategy or doctrine or policy even? Offshore balancing is what? I see it what? And Japan is very involved in that. That USA should be isolated country, isolated continent, surrounded with sea from everywhere, even in connection with Latin America. Let me say Latin America, right? Even Canada, okay? But they have to have offshore policy to not to be isolated. Offshore policy depends on 2 things. One of them is made by USA, Russia, and China, that you have an actor, a state actor, any country, to be like pin in your neck in your region, like Japan, Taiwan, in South China Sea, like Cuba against USA, okay, in the Caribbean or whatever you call it, okay, like Iran against USA in the Middle East, okay, and so on. Second dimension, which is only by USA, that they see the world in a triangle, 2 angles in the base, which is East Asia, not Asia, East Asia, and West Europe, especially including UK, France, and Germany. Why? In East Asia, we have Japan, we have Korea, we have China itself, Taiwan, and we have Taiwan, and we have even North Korea. So this country or governments, which I mentioned, they all the highest industrial countries. The 3 countries I mentioned and some others, the highest industrial countries in the West. If I could control these 2 angles, I need 3rd one, that you cannot do your know-how technology, the wonderful one, without oil, without energy. Let me say, without energy. See, if I control the energy, I can protect your industry and I can control your industry, both. Because security-wise, we are allies, economic-wise, not that much. We are competitors. And if China became threat, so Japan is competitor, or let me say even Taiwan, even Korea, Germany, UK, and France, competitors, economic-wise and technological-wise, to the United States, I mean. And that's why we need the balance here. And, you know, I could control the energy by protecting energy and by making it by dollars. So how much you need oil, how much dollar is very strong. No need for gold, right? So this will help the grand strategy of the United States, which is the liberal hegemony, which I mentioned earlier. This control, but it does not help the international resolution. So USA is very caring about international world order, much more than international resolutions, because this let them endure more responsibility. And we have the United Nations. Why I mentioned all of that? When I come back here, so how much I have in Europe, big zone. So, I mean, and how much I deduct from the buffering zone of Russia, how much I can do the offshore balancing, how much more. That's why the most countries supporting Ukraine to be part of NATO is USA for the offshore balancing, which even is against the balance all over the world. It's provoking Russia a lot. And as if you are kicking your enemy and he's back to the wall, this British idiom. So he will do something, he will not stop. Whatever it costs him, because he will be lost. To lose some now, not to lose forever, everything, right? So, and here is the Turkey importance. Why I see it as regional reason? Because Turkey, since 2019, supporting Ukraine. Drones, partnership in industry, military industry. Maybe it caused more as NATO country to provoke Russia, right? Maybe it's taken. Did Erdogan miscalculate who is one of the smartest leaders in this region or all over the world even? Did he miscalculate the results? Did he want to be a counterpart to Russia, not as just mediator in negotiations? And Russia will never accept that. One of the reasons he does not accept his mediation, not because he's NATO. It's known he's NATO a long time and he has relations. Not because he supports Ukraine. I don't want you to be counterpart to me everywhere. Not even. You were not counterpart to me in Russia, in Syria. You were counterpart to Iran. And I was the manager. And you will never be counterpart here in my region, in the Black Sea. Even though I know that we are most important than me with your two straits. And we know how much he was patient with him. We discussed that a lot, and you mentioned a lot in your articles that when his ambassador has been killed in Turkey by security men, not by a terrorist, and kept silent. When F-16 with Turkish pilot head down Sukhoi, I remember, or Mega, I don't remember. And F-16 is fighter, the other one is bomber attack, not capable to fight the one. He calmed down, right? And why? I need you. And that's answering your wonderful question always. Why not only USA is very lenient with Turkey, but USA and Russia, very lenient with Turkey. A big difference between to be lenient with you or to be my counterpart. That's why I believe what's going on all over the world right now, something is related to the personality of the presidents, right? Especially Putin and Erdogan, something in the personality. So, two reasons, I believe, one of them very well calculated and coordinated with the international one. Second one, miscalculated if it's really a reason by original one, which is Turkey. Now, if I go to what you call it, Turkey, why it's important. I mentioned that. Why it's important even for NATO and United States. Because of its very important strategic position in the Black Sea. But not only that. because we have to talk about the Middle East. I think that Turkey not sees only, NATO and USA not sees only Turkey in the Mediterranean, if I come down from the Black Sea, the other important sea, but it sees also Egypt. Why? Supremacy is sea. Economy is sea. Okay? It's not land. So when anybody tells you, I believe that USA is withdrawing from our region or any other region, no. It's in the state of some specific strategy, military strategy, to do something in Afghanistan or blah, blah, blah. But they are staying with their fleets for supremacy, for hegemony, in all fleets all over the world. First fleet, 6th fleet, and 7th fleet at your region. There they are beside you now, right? Even beside, I think you're inside your country. So if I come to 6th fleet, you know the jaw, you have the upper jaw and the lower jaw. Lower jaw should be more flexible, should be the one who's showing, who's doing. We have the two jaws. The southern coast of Turkey and the northern coast of Egypt, especially in the East Mediterranean. Israel cannot be. Greece cannot be because it's islands, right? Lebanon, very small, with all due respect to all countries. Libya, we know what's going on, and it's not one even of the Mediterranean dialogue or good ally, same like Syria, which is also should be good cohesive shore, but not ally to NATO or, and even more now, right, or to United States. Okay, so here, because this is the exit of Russia when they come to the Mediterranean, right? So that's why Turkey is very important again. So 2-1 to Egypt of Turkey, Black Sea and Mediterranean. Egypt has another two, a bit away from Turkey, which is Red Sea. That's why Egypt has the biggest navy in the region. They have to. This is very important. They are right. And that's why West and everybody will support, are supporting that because of Red Sea and East Mediterranean, right? So it's very important to them. And Turkey still and will continue the front defensive line, the southern front defensive line of NATO, and even to United States. Do you remember? Do you want them to be the pain of the neck of Russia in the Black Sea? Which I intended not to mention among Iran, among Cuba, with Taiwan and so. Even Japan is a, but Japan, with all due respect, bigger than that a bit, because it's something like dividing the region with China somehow. I mean, somehow, from perspective of United States, somehow I think, but with other allies. Anyway, so USA and NATO would like to have offshore balancing the Turkey to be in the pain of the neck. And that's why Russia is working always. I don't want you to be the pen in my neck here. Even in Syria, in the Mediterranean. Not in the Black Sea, not in the Mediterranean. And they are very successful in that. Exploiting what? The mistakes of United States and Europe when they do that. Second, that's why this was the answer to your question. Why very lenient? Because I need you. I want you. I was asked, who needs more each other? NATO, USA needs Turkey more, and Turkey or Turkey. Both of them need this. Both of them. Suppose I have asked a question, if something happened in Ukraine, and suppose even there is no NATO, what Turkey will do? They will say, I wish I were NATO. Because when Russia eats Ukraine somehow, or even part of it, which is expected, if it's done in this bad scenario or worse scenario, so it will eat more, right? So Turkey as part of NATO cannot attack us. Mm-hmm. So I think they need NATO a lot. Both of them, they need each other. And remember, Turkey is the second biggest armed forces in terms of participation of NATO. That's why we noticed something. I have been asked one, I remember, very, very nice gentleman, he's younger than me, he's a retired officer, and he told me, General, do you think that Turkey became not important to United States and NATO, that's why they didn't send forces to Turkey, but they sent to the others? I said, no, because Turkey is stronger, but the others, they need forces to cover the gap of the buffering zone, which is going to be lost by Russia, by Ukraine, seized by Russia, right? So it's not because it's not important, it's because it's important. It's because it has its own importance to protect NATO even countries around, right? I think that NATO will try, your question, why to be lenient, why they are lenient. Turkey now is the correct player, is the right player, is a very precise player, is a very important player. Turkey needs what? Turkey needs gas, yes, for its country at least. Not only to be bad for Europe for the long term, but for short term, right? Very cold right now, we feel it. And they need tourism, they need economy, they need not to provoke even Russia, they need all of that. They need all of that, but at the same time, they need the other side. And as I told you, they will prefer even the other side. But listen, notice this. And thanks for my assistance. I mean, even in Egypt, I have very good assistants who helped me with information. One of them updated me yesterday. He told me, remember, General, that Turkey import the biggest size of gas since last year from Egypt. And now they are, Israel, they say, Turkey is flirting us to give them more gas. And so why? They would like two things. We need other source. They expected that. I believe that Turkey, they have very good foundations of anticipation and assessment. And they expected that long time. And that's why I put in my opinion, maybe it's reason what's happening right now, but miscalculation, you know? So they expected, that's why they start to open new page or new future with its opponents, Israel, with Egypt. And it has very good relations with Qatar. And remember, Europe needs gas of Qatar, gas of Israel, gas of Egypt, gas of Syria if they have, gas of Algeria, and gas of Morocco if really they have, as we heard. And even they need more, right? So here is the point. Here is the point. So I think that's why Turkey will, and yeah, when they do that, so they have to play a very important role to NATO and United States. Okay. But there is gap between Turkey, NATO and Turkey and United States. We all know the gap. We know very well, you know, like USA support, you know, Kurds, some of them with weapons who are prescribed as terrorists against other terrorists, which is Daesh. Which I think security-wise, it was a mistake. I think so. On the ground, militarily, it's okay, for sure, 100%, correct. But security-wise, diplomatically-wise even, it's a mistake. Because you are provoking one of the most important elements. You are provoking the pen of the neck of Russia, right? Turkey. And Turkey, remember, you are provoking me. You need me. That's why they said in Manbij, US forces, release here. Otherwise, I will strike you. See how they are brave, and USA couldn't do anything. They are stronger, but they don't want to lose them. If you remember, I was mentioning 4 reasons why United States did not react aggressively to Turkey that time. And what's this one now? One of the reasons. We need you. So a lot of issues, you know, that really made bigger gap, like what's going on in Syria, what happened, in Syria. You know, remember, what is the biggest mistake Israel did? When they support for independence of Kurdistan. Yes, Israel would like to divide Iran, yes. Iraq, yes. Syria, yes. But the most percentage of Kurds, they are in Turkey. Would you like to divide Turkey? Would you want them to be your ally? I'm really surprised. I was really surprised that time. So Turkey, they have to be more aggressive, even more than Marmara, you know, ship when it has been targeted by Israel. I'm trying to be as quick as possible again. And if I talk about the current in Ukraine. As I told you, Turkey supported Ukraine. It supported Ukraine against Russia. Notice something? Emirates support Greece in the East Mediterranean with the military defense between both them. Against whom? Against Egypt? No, against Russia. Against Turkey, I'm sorry. Against Turkey, right? So it should be taken, but with all due respect to all countries, Greece is not Russia in the position. I'm not sure in the power of the country. No, I'm not talking about that. In the position, you know, in this kind of comparison, and even the personality of Erdogan himself. No, you shouldn't do that with me. Yeah, I'm not your counterpart, right? So this really, it was another gap with Russia, right? And if you kill an ambassador, yeah, my ambassador is very important. If you hit an aircraft, yes, the pilot and my reputation over the world in front of American aircraft is very important. But Black Sea is more important. Ukraine is more important. It's my prestige even, at least. It's my current buffer zone. If you take it, you are taking me. So that's really strange. And if you facilitate to others to take it with your drones, with your industry, partnership of industry, military industry between both of you, it's against you. So, and is it because you are protected by NATO? I have my own ways also, how to stop you. Okay. Why France became the mediator? From the French point of view, which I really respect, I think it's because the leadership of, you know, European Union right now or somehow. But I believe and as discussed with some colleagues, the true leadership is the European Union itself, not the 6 months changing of countries. Yes, France is a 3E, one of the 3E, right? And one of the most important 3E. Even after UK Brexit, if I compare, because it is the most important security country and military country if I compare with Germany and on the security ground to the United States. And we can see the comparison between France and Germany in terms of relation with Ukrainian crisis, right? I'm talking about security ground. But again, where is the Secretary General of European Union? Where is the head of commission, the lady, you know, of the European Union? Where is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of this gentleman from Portugal, I think, of the European Union? I think they didn't try to do anything because there is no unified decision concerning NATO even in this issue. And that's the lack which Russia really expected. Putin thought about that. Even though, listen to this. Russia and France, they have two disputes with France together, I mean, in 2 places. In Germany, because of Wagner, it's hated by France, and in Mali, right? But in the same time, France would like to be the one in this mediation somehow, for some internal reason, for maybe presidential election or whatever. It's not the issue. I don't know more than French people, not even European, but anyway, is it really also good time when France to be the mediator, not other country which before or after France? You know, maybe he needs him. I mean, Putin needs Macron to be the mediator. Maybe synchronized, I don't know, maybe. Or intended, coordinated somehow by Putin, not by Macron, by Putin himself. This dimension we have to study, because he's a really very good chess player. As I told you before, if you remember, that he has a chessboard, and he knows that all of his enemies, he plays with 10 players, and he knows that all the 10 players, what are the 10 steps forward of the mind of each one of them. He knows the 100 steps of all of them, and he can play very well in that. He's very skillful, to be honest. I wish I were 10% of him or 1%. Okay, so what's expected, you know, if something happened? What Turkey will do. Remember, why Russia is maybe will, for a limited, you know, a limited war, not inclusive war, as I mentioned, may get inside. Why? He knows very well, and it had been declared by the United States and NATO will not interfere because it's not NATO at least. No need for third world war, because the loser, if Russia fights USA, the winner will be China. If China fights USA, the winner will be Russia. Suppose now if Russia fights USA and NATO, China will not interfere, will support logistically only, intelligence as a partnership, but it will never interfere, right? Otherwise, it will be in the game and loser. You would like to be winner. It's a good time. Thank you. That's why I think China maybe, I don't say it once, but it will be in its favor if something militarily happens between both, right? So what's the position of Turkey now? It's part of NATO, but Ukraine is not part of NATO. And if he get inside Ukraine, it means what? If I want you part of NATO, that means you have to add value to me. Maybe your geostrategic location, or maybe your power, or maybe, and Ukraine has it both, right? But if you are invaded, like what happened with Ukraine in 2014, what happened with Georgia, what happened with Crimea, and so, according to the at least perspective of the West, so I have to do two things. Reconquer, you know, and I don't want to reconquer. Even I don't want to defend you if you are NATO, sometimes. Maybe some countries they don't want, right? Not all of them, they don't want to defend Ukraine. And they don't care. But I don't know, yeah, maybe. That's why Finland, Sweden are outside. No, they don't want to defend Ukraine, but they don't want to be like Ukraine. Maybe. Or they don't want to provoke, they are very close. I don't know, really, I don't understand. Really, I don't understand. But let me concentrate in Ukraine. So NATO cannot do anything. So if we talk about Turkey, I remember when I was in Germany, in Obermergau, which is United Nations school, NATO school in Obermergau, given lecture 5th of January 2020. And I asked a question to everybody attending. We were all military and civilians from NATO, and I said, suppose by argument, just suppose, if Russia attacked Greece, so just suppose, imagine, you know, we are in other world, or Russia attack Ukraine, or Russia attack Turkey, and if it's not NATO. So forget about Turkey itself. If Russia attacked Greece, which is NATO ally, and if Russia attacked Ukraine, which is non-NATO ally, but is in the region of Turkey, which is very important to Turkey. You know what happened? The Turkish officer, which I respect him, I like that man, I remember, stood up and said, General, we will follow chapter 5. Why I said Greece? Because Greece like enemy to Turkey, right? And it was the honeymoon between Russia and Turkey. So if we have honeymoon together, and even if you attack my ally by protocol of NATO, I will have to defend chapter 5. No other option. Why? Chapter 5 protect me as Turkey more than even protect Greece. If I'm Egypt and Turkey is not Egypt, and do something with Ukraine more, so that means I'm not protecting myself by NATO somehow, because NATO defend Turkey if it's invaded only. So position of Turkey will be as part of NATO, but also regionally as part of the Black Sea. So they have to be patient. And remember what happened with Georgia? Thanks to my assistant who reminded me that they were supporting also Georgia, but they didn't interfere. Even I heard something, but I'm not sure. I didn't check it. I didn't double check. They stopped the flow of the American, bridge to support Georgia somehow, right? So please, until here, I have to be a bit careful. Yeah, not interfere. I'm NATO, but and at the same time, I have to protect myself to be careful. And it's something like unannounced agreement between it's even not written or even verbal agreement between Russia and Turkey, but it's agreement by nature. Now we have to talk about Turkey relations. When I talk about please, this is my own way. Maybe I'm wrong. I cannot talk about Turkey-Israeli relation alone. I have to talk about Turkey, Israeli, Iranian relations, always, always. And the main reason of that is Iran. It's because of Iran. Because how much enemies against Israel, how much friends I have. You remember Iranian normalization and Israeli normalization, vice versa? It's something like that. Why? Why? What is the problem between Israel and Turkey? That Erdogan, but let me say between Israel and Erdogan. Israel is Israel. That Erdogan believed, maybe he's right, that before him, Israel had a big influence inside the political decision making in Turkey, in Israel, in Turkey, through the armed forces, through Turkish armed forces, right? And that's why the coup was to be or not to be against him. Coup against Erdogan. Coup was for favor, for sure, for the West, for Israel, and maybe for some countries from Arab countries who are against political Islam, right? And if coup succeeded, so influence will come back again to several countries, including Israel, inside the decision-making inside Turkey. Unfortunately for him, he succeeded against the coup. And that's why he punished aggressively. I remember, I have a friend in Turkey, he worked for me in United Nations. I don't have to mention his name. And I asked him during the coup, what's your opinion of the coup? And he told me, well, I am against Erdogan politically. But as a retired colonel, I disagree with the coup. I am a democratic person. And it was by bad generals, not good generals, to behave this way in a country which we call ourselves democratic country. Did you get here the point? So that's why he was very angry, and very aggressive with them. Because even as a protester opinion against Erdogan, they are bad generals. So what about Erdogan himself, right? So why I'm telling you that? So when I talk about relation with Israel, it's very deep inside. You are happy, at least I don't say you support the coup, but you are happy with the coup. You had big influence inside Turkish decision making, and I am the Turkish empire person. I am Erdogan. I'm not even your counterpart. I'm counterpart of United States and Russia. So how you decide what we have to do politically in my country? What's Iran here? The hope that Turkey to be always enemy to Israel. Thank you, Erdogan. Because common enemy to be a friend, right? So that's why relation here is very important. If you're still very angry, even within terms of political Islam, in Islamic way as an Islamic country, but actually, I want you against Israel for any reason, even because of football. Just I want you against Israel. That's why it's very important of these three countries to describe together. So how much is Israel not good with Turkey? How much is Iran the main enemy of Israel is happy? So I think that Turkish relation with Israel, according to all this kind of introduction, I think it needs Israel more for the gas, because they want to take the gas of Israel and even gas of Egypt, gas of Syria as they have, and everybody in this East Mediterranean to go to Europe through Turkey and to give Turkey when they need, right? On the other hand, not only Egypt to be the southern jaw with my jaw, but Turkey and Israel. I need you. Because when you support my back in the East Mediterranean, I'm supported enough in the Black Sea, right? Iran doesn't want that. Who wants bridge in the Mediterranean? Russia doesn't want that. That's the relation between the Black Sea and East and Mediterranean itself, even in total, and Russia, Egypt even, and even Iran. And in the middle, the key country, Turkey, right? I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong, but this how can I imagine, right? Okay. Then I go to Iranian. Oh yeah, this is continuation of what I said anyway. I explained Turkish-Egyptian relations. I told you the two jaws, right? Who is more patient to the other, Turkey to Egypt or Egypt to Turkey? Turkey to Egypt. because Turkey needs Egypt more for several reasons. Number one, economic reason. Economic reason. Number two, but they want Egypt not as counterpart. If I talk about Erdogan, even about Turkey, Turkey always think with any president, with, you know, I am the empire, even more than Iran. I'm the empire. And if you are in the south, not only south, but also below me. So you help my strategy, I'm not helping your strategy. But he needs him more than Egypt. That's why Egypt does not need him. I think that much because we don't have this strategy like him of supremacy of the Eastern Mediterranean. But we need to have influence. And even we are capable in this more than the other. Until now, I think until now at least, right? And Egypt, I think, does not want to go to the supremacy level because it does not want to meet more challenges. But Turkey would like to meet more challenges. So, but Turkey needs Egypt more for gas, for the Eastern Mediterranean, you know, maritime borders, right? They would like to convince Egypt and Israel with their maritime. But the problem with their maritime designing that they consider north of Cyprus is Turkish territory, which will never be accepted, even though you give me more portion, Israel and Egypt. But it will never accept it, not only by Greece, but by international community, because nobody recognizes North Cyprus as Turkish territory, right? So, if even I talk more about this, listen to this, which is really important. There are, which really I learned it from the wonderful person, researcher, Mr. Makoto Ohashi. When he said what? He said that three giant demographic countries, Turkey, Egypt, and Iran. But the difference between Turkey and Egypt and Iran, all of them history, all of them Muslims, no problem, don't forget about Sunni and Shia now. All of them, they were civilizations. All of them, they were empires. Even Egypt, it was occupied by empires, right? So it's empire, okay? But what is the difference? Number one, that Turkey is one identity. Iran is one identity. Egypt is mixed identity. This is my own opinion. Because of different empires, different occupation, different colonies, let me say. Second, Turkey speaks only Turkish, even in the bigger region. Iran speaks only Persian, and no other speaks like Iran or like Turkey, but Egypt speaks the language of at least 18 countries. If I don't talk about Moon Islands or I talk about Djibouti, for example. So all of this they speak. So the nationalism here is very important, right? And this is a threat to Israel, which would like to describe itself as Jewish Israel, even though it's secular country. Because nationalism will melt the population, which is increasing with Arabian more than Western Israeli, Jewish, Arabian. So they would be melted in Arabian nationalism, right? Turkey knows that. So I would like to get the benefit of your giant demographic situation and your nationalism to have Arab all, not only you, but through you as Egypt, to be within my strategy. Egypt is very important to Turkey within all of that I have mentioned, I think. Okay, and I go to Saudi Arabia. Okay. Saudi Arabia is really always, to me, is important country. Everybody knows that, and to everybody. It has the leadership of Islamic community, right? The big Islamic community, even all over the world. The conference is Islam inside Saudi Arabia. But who, you know, what is the religion to, you are the man of the religion, right? What is the religion to Saudi Arabia? One of the three pillars of Saudi Arabia, religion. So if you compete me in one of my three pillars, you are something like my enemy. Turkey is competing Saudi Arabia in religious dimension. So I think Turkey has to think about that. I believe that Turkey have to think much even about that. But, you know, they need each other economy. I mean, Turkey needs economically Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia needs technologically Turkey, especially in their war inside Yemen. I believe that Turkey and Israel, they have the best drones all over the world, the best UAVs all over the world, which really effective in what we have mentioned now with my dear friend Rayo, that the unbalancing. So you can help me that even if you are state actor, a regional power, but you can help me even in non-state actor fighting, you know. So they need each other, I believe. Turkey emerged, yeah, my lovely country. So it's well known. In November, it was a visit, and currently today is another visit. And in terms of what? Of enhancing our good relations. But I can say something. I can say something. With all due respect to everybody, I'm analyst. I'm not spokesperson, right? And I think you like that. Do you think that Erdogan is looking at Mohammed bin Zayed same way as friends? I don't think so. He condemned him before that he was supporting the coup inside Turkey. And Erdogan is one of the persons, like President Sisi, he doesn't forget he was his enemy one day. I mean, enemy of his country at least, right? So I think he remembers that very well. The other thing, with all due respect to everybody, with all due respect to all leaders, Erdogan himself, he never looked at any country except China, USA, and Russia as counterpart. Nobody is my counterpart, right? And that's why I think the winner here is Emirates. You know why? Because if you are arrogant, I will give you what you want. I come to you first. I come to you economically, but I know what I will take from you regionally, in Afghanistan, in Horn of Africa, in Ethiopia, right? And even in Yemen now, because I'm smarter than you. You are arrogant, I respect, thank you. If I became arrogant like you, I'll be not that smart. But if I keep you, like if I talk to you with my dear friend, you know, I'm stuck up to a situation like this, but suppose that, I'm sorry, you need me, keep on your stuck way, and but from behind, look at this idiot, but he gave me what I want. I'm sorry, with all due respect, just I'm trying to explain in a simple way. I'm talking about presidents, all due respect to everybody, okay? So he needs him very much economically, because 2023 new Turkey is dying, or it was going to be dying. And he wants Turkey to be rising. And you will see my conclusion now. He wants it to be rising. Not only because he loves his country 100%, but he loves himself. He doesn't want to die, morally at least. I am the one, I'm Erdogan. I'm the counterpart of not even Russia, China, United States. I'm the counterpart of the President of Russia, President of the United States, President of China. I'm the one. Okay, if I talk about Qatar, we have very good relations. But I noticed something. It's common relation because of political Islam, because of economy. They have gas, and it's the first one who will give him gas if he suffers shortage of gas. But we have to understand two things. Two things. Number one, is the friendship between Qatar and Turkey is a strategic really friendship, or based on the enmity of their competitors? So if it's based on the enmity of their competitors, like Egypt, like Emirates, like Saudi Arabia, like Bahrain, like many others, so it's short-term relation. Second, as Qatar is not idiot. Qatar is not, I disagree with anybody when you say Qatar, it's a tool of you. No. Do you know what they do? They have a strategy. They're one of the most important countries in the Gulf. They have a strategy from the beginning. I think the first one. So I think he thinks in one. If even USA, not Turkey, I'm not caring about Turkey now as ally, regional ally, I'm caring about United States. And that's why United States consider Qatar, even before Emirates and Saudi Arabia, to be strategic ally, country number 18. Okay. If I were Tamim, you know, I mean, leader of Qatar, I will say what? Okay, please let us sign together. I think he agreed with Biden. Let's sign together that when this crisis is finished, you will not go back to Russia again to have the streams through Turkey from them or through Ukraine. Make it only through me. Because don't tell me it will be short time contract. And remember, even it's closer to Iranian, but they are happy with the sanctions against Iran. Somehow, not very happy, but somehow, because they have the biggest percentage of the gas, and you don't submit to any sanctions. So now they are the best source. It's not enough for Europe, but he would like to be chronic, for long-term, permanent source, replacing Russia. Even not like Israel, Egypt, Algeria, or whoever have gas in the Mediterranean. I want me to be the one. How? Even through them. At least to be the main one. Right? I think so. So Turkish-Qatar relations is not closed and narrow relation. No, it's something wider, sometimes maybe against the relations. So he wants his gas to be even, yes, through Turkey, but for sake of importance of Qatar in Europe and USA, not of importance of Turkey. They are not this narrow-minded to look regionally only. I think so. I think. Now, conclusion. Yes, Turkey is a key country. Turkey is rising. Why? Turkey, yes, it suffers a lot of challenges, but at the same time, it's supported, even from the countries who give them a lot of challenges, like USA and Europe. They put some challenges in front, but they need them to be key country. And I mentioned why. Well, second, I think Erdogan is the main problem to USA, to Europe, maybe to Russia, and to some Arab countries, and even to Israel itself, but not to Iran. It is needed by Iran somehow. So I think get rid of Erdogan is goal of several countries. And then relation would be closer with Turkey after. So that's all from my side. I don't know how much I have taken. Usually I'm thinking about this. I think fine, huh? 45 minutes or less. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive lecture and our two strong commentator discussants are waiting for their turn. So without much ado, I quickly move on to our Q&A session, and we have two very important experts in Japan on this issue. So one is Dr. Masaki Mizobuchi, a associate professor of Graduate School of Humanities and Social Science at Hiroshima University, and another commentator, very important expert, Dr. Kohei Imai, research fellow at the Institute of Developing Economies, and both of them have very vigorously investigating this global and regional politics surrounding Turkey. So, so Dr. Mizobuchi, would you take the first turn in responding to Dr. Ghoneim's lecture, please?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your very excellent and insightful presentation, Dr. Ghoneim. And thank you very much for inviting me, Professor Ikeuchi. And I'm very pleased to be with you today. Thank you. So, so as you know, Russia is on the brink of the invading Ukraine just now. So in that sense, your presentation was very timely. So that's why I know there are many participants who wants to ask questions for Dr. Ghoneim about this topic. So I will try to keep my comments and questions as short as possible. So Dr. Ghoneim discussed, there are many discussion points regarding the Turkish foreign policy. That's because as far as the Middle Eastern situation is concerned, recently Turkey has been a key player in many issues like Syria and the Libyan conflicts, and Armenia, Azerbaijan border crisis, and energy issues, refugee issues, and peace issues between Arab states and Israel, and so on. And in addition, in recent years, the relationship between Turkey and Israel has been improving rapidly. So according to various news reports, recently Turkish and the Israeli intelligence agencies jointly prevented an Iranian-led, Iranian-led assassination plot in Istanbul. So similarly, as Dr. Ghoneim emphasized, Turkey is one of the major NATO player, and NATO and Turkey is playing a very important role in today's Ukraine crisis. So in this sense, although I'm not a specialist about the Turkish foreign policy, but I think I must pay attention to Turkey's foreign policy and its geopolitical positioning. So based on this recent development, I will leave the specific comments and questions about the Turkish foreign policy up to Dr. Imai. Dr. Imai is the specialist about the Turkish foreign policy. So I'd like to make two brief comments and questions about the expected impact of the Ukraine crisis, Ukraine conflict. I don't know if it really occur or not, but anyway, the impact on the Middle East. So I think the war in Ukraine will likely make a large impact on the political, economic, and security situation in the Middle East. And at first, about the security dimension, particularly in Syria and the Libyan situation. So, Turkey and Russia have been deeply engaged in conflicts in Syria and Libya, and often have hostile relationship each other in both countries. So that's why if military conflicts arise in Ukraine, it will inevitably have a significant impact on the development of political process in both countries, both Syria and Libya. So how do you think about this point? This is first question.
The question, I'm sorry, can you repeat this question?
Yeah, about the Syria and the Libyan situation, the impact of the Ukraine crisis, right?
Okay.
And about second question, political dimension. So needless to say, the background to Russia's hardliner stance towards the Ukraine and the Western countries is the recognition that the relative power and influence of the United States is rapidly declining, right? So as various analysts pointed out, the Biden administration's Middle Eastern policies, like its diplomatic approach to solving the Iranian nuclear file, and its withdrawal from Afghanistan, and its half-hearted approach towards the Middle East. So such policies have already sent a very negative message to US allies all over the world. So as a result of such so-called weak diplomatic stance, so both China and Russia have started to fan the flames in Taiwan and Ukraine, right? So if the US deterrence strategy collapses and the US unable to come up with any effective measure to deal with Ukraine crisis, so I think the Middle Eastern countries, whether allies or enemies, will increasingly underestimate the power and influence of the United States. And the US influence in the Middle East will continue to decline more and more rapidly in the near future, I think. So how do you think about this point? This is the second point. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Should I answer now?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Okay. Let me start with the second point. I was thinking about what is the main competition between USA and China. Now, it's known as economic competition. It's even now military power, increasing competition, supremacy competition, at least in South China Sea, and so on. But I believe in the region, our region, we have a very specific and precise competition, allies, competition on allies. So USA would like to keep and retain its allies. China would like to take the allies of USA. Same with Russia, which is all before. China is doing the same, I think. So to do that, so one of the dimensions that I have to base my competition is trust. That USA must build more trust or retain trust or restore trust or find other ways of trust between or from its ally side to USA. And China would like to do and not to trust China. And China would like to do opposite. It's doing a lot of means of trust. They understand, you know, the difference between China and the United States. One really very successful to China, the culture approach. China understands our culture more than the United States. Do you remember when I said in the previous, when I said what? That China, they have built on road, which is clear vision with long term to sustain my economy. When you come inside my country, thank you. Second, you deal with me as a government, I need it. Right? You show to me I'm your counterpart. Not only that, you show to me that I'm your partner of building a new shape of our region and the world. I'm not tool in the new old order of USA. I'm partner of your new order, whatever you call it, regional or world order. They succeeded in that, right? So yes, that's why this support my analysis, which I said the reason, that's why it's now the crisis that I think it was coordinated between Russia and China to prove that USA does not deserve to be trusted by you, the allies. It's a good message by China to the Middle East, and it's a good message by Russia to Europe, right? And even the Middle East, and China even to Europe. But first priority China both, but Middle East now it's more flexible to them. We like China more than Europe like China. I can say that, right? I mean, as region. And for Europe, we like Russia before. Most of our countries, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Libya, the four main, and remember, they were very strong. Only Egypt still strong somehow and increasing its strength, right? So, okay, so this is, I agree with you 100%, and this may be, thank you, support my analysis. It's a game of trust. Losing trust, gaining trust. Losing allies, gaining allies. And if they succeed in that, that's why I told you, it's time to show how much that USA and Europe are very indecisive and we are very concrete. Listen, who has what I call the initiative of saying yes or no now? Russia or United States? Russia. They succeeded to do that. Here is the point. I have the steering, yeah? Who is the one who can say yes or no now in the Middle East? China, not USA. They have the steering now more. Somehow, you know, it's what's going on, right? And that's why you find some tools in the Middle East like Israeli normalization, another mechanism is Iranian normalization, if you agree with what I call, maybe I'm wrong totally. In Europe, they have other mechanisms, you know, to do that. like when they tried to do in COVID-19 with the vaccines very quickly. Do you remember when Russia sent quickly to Italy? You know, this calls, this big, calls of military cars with equipment, and so China when they did so. So they know what they do exactly, at least in the good time. It's okay for this question? Or you need any other? Okay. Second, impact in Syria and Libya. Good. What is the common thing? And I agree, it's very good when you select Syria and Libya, because we talked about Yemen, but I agree with another thing. Syria and Libya are more connected to Ukraine because of the Mediterranean. This is number one. Number two, Syria and Libya still under, how can I say, influence of Russia. And Ukraine, Russia would like to have it safe, to get inside the house, not to go out. I remember when I mentioned with one of my seminars with my dear friend Satoshi, when I said that, and even I mentioned in my book, Fingers Are on the Triggers, when I mentioned that. Okay, the first step in the Middle East, Syria, they did it. Second step should be Egypt, Iraq, or Libya. So the best one is Libya, for several reasons. Egypt and Libya is Mediterranean, but Egypt is Mediterranean dialogue, Libya is not. This is very important. Not ally to NATO, but at least we are partners, at least. And we had a lot from NATO and United States in our, I'm talking about Egypt, in our internal, this against terrorism. What Russia did for us. Yeah, they are very good. They give us the weapons which we need that USA don't give us. Conventional weapons. And that's why USA cannot say anything. You need conventional weapons because I want you to expand with military, by the way, as I told you, to protect the two seas, even for my favor as West, right? So when I think this will impact more. Why? If he succeeded to have Ukraine with more percentage under authority of Russia, under hegemony, under control, to be forever non-NATO member, non-US ally member, I think the next president, with all due respect to everybody, I think next president in Ukraine will not be pro-American, in case of war or not, right? By several means, he's thinking about that. So if he succeeded that in Ukraine, so it will be stronger foot militarily on the ground in Russia, in Syria and Libya. Because increase of trust in Syria, less of trust of the United States. And remember, look the history of United States, the near history with Libya, 2011. If you see any Arabian on any level, when they meet NATO or Americans, we never forget what you did in Libya in 2011 invasion. Okay, this is the way of thinking. So reputation, trust, and it's related. That's why I answered your first question, second question first, because it's too much related with the trust. It's very connected. Really, thank you so much. Like Rayo, before I don't, all our colleagues, and I think that Satoshi selected very well. So I can say, it's both connected, both very fundamental, both very related in the issue, and together, really, it let me see more what I didn't notice, to be honest, within the big vision of what's going on in Ukraine and related to the Middle East. And I should have talked about this before. It's my failure. You are right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Imai-san, sorry for keeping you waiting for a long time. And now we have real Turkey expert we have. And Dr. Imai, Kohei Imai has been publishing comprehensive monographs on Turkish foreign policy and Turkish security policy. So Imai-san, please respond to the lecture and discussion so far, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ghoneim. You are very fruitful speaking about Turkey, and thank you very much, Professor Ikeuchi, inviting me to this very good seminar. But now I'm in trouble because Dr. Ghoneim very good talk about Turkey and everything. I totally agree with your opinion. And now I have nothing to say something about Turkey, but I want to share my point of view, Turkish approach to Ukraine crisis. And I prepared a very short PowerPoint, so I want to share. Sorry, just a minute. Okay. As I said, I totally agree with Dr. Ghoneim's analysis about Turkish foreign policy, especially Crimean Ukraine crisis recently. And I also think Turkey has no choice but to play mediator role in this crisis because Turkey's strategic position and weak economic situation right now, and Turkish foreign policy, especially during Biden period, and also Erdogan government now very take care of the domestic politics. So these elements are very important factors for decision making of Erdogan government. At first, Dr. Ghoneim mentioned offshore balancing. I also want to use the words, realist words, strategic hedging. Strategic hedging is like a policy of insurance, but sometimes a little bit opportunist strategy. But important things is states are trying to keep balance between two superpowers. This concept is started using from maybe beginning of the 2010 and to analysis behavior of the Southeast Asian countries between United States and China. But of course, in Turkish case, United States and Russia is suitable. And as Dr. Ghoneim mentioned, Turkey is very close to Russia, Putin government after the rapprochement on June 2016. Now Putin and Erdogan basically kept good relations. But of course, Turkey started to feel distrust with United States after the second Obama administration period. I think so. But of course, you know, Turkey tried to keep good relation with NATO also. So for my understanding, Afghanistan and Ukraine affairs are very good opportunity for Turkey to repair Turkey-NATO relations. So, Turkey now try to engage, try to keep balance between United States, NATO, and Russia, and also Russia and Ukraine. Anyway, the Turkish balancing policy between two superpowers and both two superpowers and Russia and Ukraine. Turkey's this double balancing policy is, I think, very important. And this point is also mentioned Dr. Ghoneim. Now, Turkish economic situation is worst after Erdogan government, AKP, became ruling party. So now President Erdogan uses foreign policy for recovering Turkish economic situation. For example, rapprochement with UAE, etc., UAE and Saudi Arabia, etc. And for Turkey, Russia is one of the main supplier of natural gas and very important market for food materials, and main partner for establishing a nuclear power plant in Mersin. But on the other hand, Ukraine is one of the export markets for Turkey's military equipment. And, you know, in the beginning of this month, Turkey and Ukraine signed a free trade agreement. So, yeah, Ukraine is also very important market for Turkey. So, yeah, this situation is very, how can I say, trouble in Turkey. And since Joe Biden had power as US president, this is also Dr. Ghoneim mentioned, several Middle Eastern countries, especially regional great powers, started to adopt a cooperative approach to internal rivals, especially Turkey. Turkey started to do rapprochement with Egypt, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, and also Armenia. You know, and now Turkey planned and joined a 3+3 forum in Southern Caucasus. And in Southern Caucasus, Turkey sees Iran and Russia as rivals. So for Turkey, after Joe Biden came, except Iran, Middle Eastern regional great powers, how can I say, want to keep a good relation now. But as Dr. Ghoneim said, Iran is exception. Now Turkish-Iran relation is, I think, start to do deteriorated. And also, in addition, Biden administration put importance on, you know, democracy. And Turkey has paid attention to this point. Yeah, now Turkey is called as authoritarian state, but Turkish Erdogan government very, how can I say, pay attention to Biden's democratic approach. So, and in addition, I checked public opinion survey in Turkey in 2021. This is a result of the Kadir Has University's analysis published in 2021. And Kadir Has University every year analyze public opinion survey in Turkey. And I checked Turkey's people's threat perception and how can I say, good relation with which country. And I think Turkish people has a threat perception towards Russia more and more, but as a result, Turkish people has not so much threat perception towards Russia, but Turkish people generally think United States and Israel, Armenia, Greece. These are threats. And how about good relations? I think Turkish people like Ukraine more and more, but as a result, Turkish people like Russia rather than Ukraine. It is a little bit, how can I say, a surprise, but these are public opinion survey in this last year. But you know, Turkish nationalists especially Crimean Tatars call for protect Ukraine now. So Dr. Ghoneim said nationalism is very important. I also think now nationalism is very important, and Turkish nationalists call for protect Ukraine very much. So these kind of things, I totally consider maybe Turkey has to do only things is mediation role, and probably Turkey will continue to play unique, how can I say, this original mediator role if military clash happen between Russia and Ukraine. This is a little bit similar to Afghanistan case. In Afghanistan, after crash happened, Turkey continued to play mediator role between Taliban and ex-government side. And also, Dr. Ghoneim's analysis, I also agree. Turkey will keep a neutral position between Russia and NATO, like Georgia-Russian war in 2008. And also, analogy of the annexion of Crimea, Turkey wants to support Ukraine. However, if Russia invades Ukraine, Turkey cannot do anything alone. So I think this Afghanistan case, Georgia and Russia war case, and annexion of Crimean case, these are maybe good examples of Turkish foreign policy in for analyzing Turkish foreign policy in contemporary Crimean crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Imai, for your succinct presentation from the internal view of Turkish, from inside Turkey on this situation, and it will complement each other with Dr. Ghoneim's presentation. So thank you, I really appreciate it. And before responding to this presentation by Dr. Imai, Dr. Ghoneim, would you see the Q&A box? And there are several questions coming in. One is from Mr. Muhammad Hussaini. It's a very interesting question. So, Dr. Ghoneim, do you agree with me that USA could be using Erdogan as a man who can play by a rough way, creating a messy situation? Won't lead to conventional war. Won't lead to conventional war, but could lead to proxy war. It's a very interesting observation from the Middle East, and what the real intention behind U.S. Support of Turkey Erdogan in its negotiation mediation. And Mr. Hosseini also pointed out there is some discrepancy with European intention. European leaders don't want the situation to go like that. But also they don't want Turkey to take the lead on Ukraine problem. Okay, so there are differentiated views and positions from within NATO, US, and Europe. This is one observation. How do you respond to this observation?
Okay, good. Thank you very much to Mr. Hussaini and for the second question as well. Let me disagree first in the second question in one thing that
Dr. Ghoneim, would you speak nearer, closer to the microphone?
Sure. Okay. Thanks a lot for the two questions. And when I answer the first one, I would like to just disagree with only one thing in the first question, that USA uses Erdogan. It's a common word in our region, in our Arabian region, that USA uses Erdogan and uses Tamim as a tool, and so, which is contrary to fact. Erdogan is not person to be used. I'm not flattering him. I'm not saying he's a good man, but this is his personality. And Turkey position as Turkey is not to be used. Is to be exploited, not exploited. I would like to select the right way. It's to be cooperating with. And Erdogan is even insisting that I'm partner to the superpowers, as I told you. I think so. So this, if I agree, that will be against all what I mentioned before about Turkey and Erdogan. Erdogan is not a toothpick, he believes, is not a tool to be used. He's a player. He's a player. So this is the first one. He's a truly player. He has a strategy. He has a combined strategy, a full strategy of political, economic, security, military, social, maritime strategy, the homeland, in blue homeland, and so on. He has a lot of strategies connected together in a very professional way. How he directs the relations mainly with USA, Russia, and China, and how to exploit the mistakes of the other. I agree very much with Dr. IK when he said very opportunistic. That's why the best friend in the wider space to Erdogan is Putin. And they really agree with each other because of them, both of them are very opportunistic, not to be used in opportunities. In my book, I called Russia the opportunistic street fighter. So, and they understand each other very well. And to proceed something like conventional war or like proxy to United States and so, he doesn't need that because he's protected by NATO. But to use him as an armed forces as proxy against Russia, USA is not very smart to do that, and Turkey is not that very smart to do that. Because if I am used to fight outside my country, Russia in Ukraine, so I'm not protected by NATO. NATO Chapter 5 is to protect you against any outside conquer or outside attack or outside aggression. It's not to support your life. When it was in Libya, so several countries of NATO said, we don't care. Like Denmark, I think, I remember, and some others. Go to Libya if you want. It's outside. If Libya, whatever, if Libya attacks one of your countries, then I have to go and support you and protect you. So I don't think so. If you agree with me in my answer, you're most welcome. If you disagree, please tell me. Maybe I'm wrong. If I go to the second question, when you mention, yeah.
Oh yes, yes, please, yes, please.
If I answer the second question, linguistically, the word over is Central Asia. Over Central Asia, that means some way of supremacy to me, and invasion with influence. If it's what you mean, I don't think so. But to be existing more in Central Asia, this will be depending more in his economy. And not only Turkish, yes, he wants to be more expanding in Central Asia, to be more between, as I told you, Russia and China somehow, and to have more buffer zone for him, to have more existence. And maybe this will be somehow good for the United States and good for his relation with Russia somehow, not in a positive way, but in terms of negotiation together as competitors sometimes. But also it will depend on the result of what's going on in Ukraine, right? So if Russia succeeds in Ukraine, so he has to think, how can I have tools of negotiation, cards of negotiation with Russia in different regions? Because now expansion of Russia in the Black Sea is threatening not only NATO, but basically, or particularly Turkey inside the Black Sea, more than Romania, more than even others. It doesn't mean that they are aware of threat, but according to the size of strategy, independent country. So I think Turkey will be more under threat, and it will be closer even to NATO. If he get inside Ukraine, Turkey will be closer to NATO and to the United States. I think so. I think so. Russia, you don't give me any more space for negotiation together. And that's why I will have to find other cause of pressure, and will be supported maybe by USA, even in others, maybe Kazakhstan, I don't know, not only Azerbaijan, I mean. So, and others. I'm not in front of the map now to see who is around Turkey in this issue, but I can say yes, they will think more. And you know what, also a very important question, the impact on if Russia inside Ukraine, the impact of relations between Russia and China. Yes, they want, it's good for Russia, it's good against Europe, it's good against the United States, it's good against NATO. It's expansion of Russia as China. So this kind of expansion, what he will do in front of me in the long or mid-term, you know, I don't want Russia to be expanded this way. You know more than that in Japan, more than me, I think. So China doesn't want Russia to be expanding this way, I think so.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure if I'm right.
Yeah, the last one was the answer and response to a question from Japanese lady, Ms. Murakami, about whether or not there's a possibility of expansion of Turkey's influence into over the Central Asian countries. And yes, and basically Dr. Ghoneim's answer is it's up to us to answer to this question. So, so thank you very much for your very energetic presentation on the situation surrounding Turkey, surrounding Ukrainian issues. And please let me just introduce another event of ROLES. Actually, we are holding webinars after webinars in this month. So we just want to introduce one of them. It's about alliances. It's an alliance relationship with Japan and the United States. So Dr. Ryo Yamaguchi is in charge of the next webinar. It will going to be held in February 23. So Dr. Ryo Hinata Yamaguchi, would you explain yourself? I just share the event page to our audience. I think this one. This one.
I have the banner here, so I can do that. But okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, General Ghoneim, for another great session. I sincerely enjoyed it. And so, just very quickly, I'd like to follow on from Professor Ikeuchi's quick words. So, on February 23, from 9 to 11 a.m. Japan Standard Time, we will be hosting another webinar featuring Dr. Zach Cooper from the American Enterprise Institute. He's a senior fellow. Sorry?
PM or AM?
AM, sir.
Yes, is it AM in Japan time, because the speaker is in the East Coast of the United States. So,
okay. So 9 a.m. in Japan. Okay. On
yeah, 9 a.m. Yes.
It's very early in the morning. It's very early in the morning in Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's February 23, 9 to 11 a.m. Japan Standard Time. It's titled Shaping the Future of the Japan-US Alliance, featuring Dr. Zach Cooper, Senior Fellow, American Enterprise Institute. This is the first event that will be hosted by us, by the policy simulation study group, which I am running. And so to open this session up, open this group up, I've invited my great friend, Dr. Zach Cooper, who'll be coming in to talk about the future Japan-US alliance with me. So that is the session.
Okay, so if you're interested in, please register from this page, and the link to this page is on our website, English-Japanese website.
Yeah, you can send it to me by email.
Yes, yes, and share it with your friend. And again, thank you very much, Dr. Ghoneim, for giving us such a expertise, of sharing with us such a deep expertise and comprehensive. And thank you for our three commentators, discussants, and so sharing this evening with me. Thank you very much. So, and all the participant audiences, I really thank you for such a large number of people from Japan and from Gulf participated in this seminar, webinar. And we want to see you in the next occasion where we'll continue to hold such kind of events. And thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. See you.
Thank you really very much also. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Tata. Thanks to her, really, always helping and supporting, very, very professional. And thanks to all of you gentlemen, thanks to my friend Satoshi. And if you don't mind, I would like to thank my assistants. Really, they worked hard to show it this way you like. Wallahi, it's not a humble way when I say I'm not down to earth at all. I'm very stuck-up person, but I'm telling you, 90% of the effort by them. They collected a lot of information, which is Muhammad, Ahmed, Jihad, and my dear friend, the journalist, Tharwat as well. So they collected a lot of information. They give me their input with views, which really I liked a lot. And this helped all of us, I think. I mean, so I have to thank them in front of you. Thank you so much, and see you soon next 23rd. I'm going to Canada. First, I hope I get my visa. Early in March, I'm going to University of Victoria. They liked my book and they invited me that to be with them with my proposal. Actually, I like to be with them in University of Victoria in Canada. So, and then we will talk about several issues, including the Middle East, the religion, the culture, and also my book as well. So when we have anything, I will ask the permission. Maybe you can join us if something could be online or somehow. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye. Okay.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
See you.